Hello, this is Matthew with Technomicon Media, and today we're going to be looking at Final Fantasy XIV November patch changes. Here you can see the updated Equipment Manager, and the big highlight of the Equipment Manager now is that it sorts items based on what type they are. So as you're equipping main hand weapons, it only shows the main hand items that can actually be equipped there, as opposed to how it was before, with every single item in your inventory being shown up, making it much easier to change between classes as well. And this functionality works for all equipment types. Here you can see leggings, and it's only showing the leggings that can be equipped. Back to weapons. Now, people have been doing this since the game's release through the use of macros, but I just felt that you shouldn't have to use workarounds to substitute for basic functionality. One of the nice new features in the November patch is the inclusion of an auto-sort feature, and it works very well. It works perfectly, actually. My main and only problem with it is it's not clear how to turn it on initially. The way you do this is by actually selecting an item in your inventory, and this expands a new set of options, one of those being the toggle for sort. And as you can see, it sorts items exactly how you would expect. It groups them by types, ores with ores, and various types of cloth items, weapons. They're all sorted together, so that works perfectly. Another change to the inventory UI is the ability to check an item's durability. It still feels a little clunky, but to Square Enix's credit, they did state that they'll fix this in a better manner for the December patch. As of right now, the way it works is you select an item, and it brings up a toggle where you can check the durability of an item. The main mode of transportation other than running around in Final Fantasy XIV is the use of teleportation nodes, and teleportation got a few changes as well. One of the main changes is being able to select favored teleportation locations, which reduces the cost for using teleportation in half. Teleportation actually defaults to the main 3 cities, which is, for the most part, the way you want to use it. Teleportation for most players is used for collecting local leaves as they reset. Synthesis in general got quite a number of upgrades and improvements. One of the initial ones that I noticed was that crafting support NPCs now give you a substantially longer buff than they initially did. The buff time pre-patch was about 3 minutes, and that's up to roughly an hour now, so players don't have to feel nearly as rushed when completing crafts. Another huge improvement in terms of synthesis in general is the responsiveness of the UI. The UI pre-patch felt very sluggish. I'm really not sure why that was, but it's very snappy now, and crafting doesn't feel nearly as painful. Crafting itself got quite a number of changes, the main one being the normalization of standard synthesis. It seems to function much more consistently now, with a lot less erroneous failures in terms of crafting numerous items of the same type. Bold synthesis, conversely, seems to fail much more often, and to play devil's advocate, it was a little OP. I mean, I was able to HQ3 many items very consistently, so it seems that that was a necessary change. Another large change is to that of leave difficulty levels, and what I mean by that is pre-patch players, including myself, were able to set leave difficulty levels to much higher than they should be. So this seems like a necessary change, but it was much of a shocker at first, and I'll go into how the new functionality works in terms of resetting the difficulty level. And just for the record, I'm doing this level 20 leave as a rank 20 pugilist with a physical level of 32 using support abilities from a conjurer as well as a lancer. One of the nice new additions in terms of combat is how targeting functions. Before, targeting was pretty clunky from going from one target to another, and now it's a much smoother and seamless process going from one target to the next. Pre-patch, the biggest problem I had was switching from one target to the next. You would experience both a lag, and it wouldn't just auto-target onto the next aggressive mob on you. Now it seems to shift directly and immediately to the next target. Here's a small change that I didn't even actually read about in the patch notes, but loot chests that are commonly found during Leave Quest are no longer examined, but they're actually clicked on and looted directly. Now this 2-star quest seemed pretty easy, and I ended up not changing the difficulty rating, but I'm going to show you anyhow how to do this, because I have used it in another leave prior to this one. Basically, you want to go to the crystal and select it. Once selected, you'll get a new option for how to change the difficulty. Here you can see it'll ask you to change the difficulty rating down. You cannot, however, change the difficulty rating up. Now it's going to be my good recommendation for any new post-patch leave undertakings, rank 20, to start at 1 star and go from there. I did a few leaves centered around Camp Tranquil, which I had immediately reset to 1 star after dying a few times. It's really going to depend on the leave specifically. For those focusing on the Pugilist class, I highly recommend the Mark purchased rank 20 ability called Pummel. Used in conjunction with the Lancer's TP drain ability, I was able to mow through quite a number of enemies. These are blue targets, but I was doing a few yellow and orange outgoats before this, and it worked really well. Another change to how leaves function is the rewards seem a bit nerfed, and I think that's an economy-based change on SE's part. It did feel like skill acquisition was a little too easy. And this concludes my November patch Final Fantasy XIV features video. For additional information on Final Fantasy XIV as well as other game-related topics, feel free to visit us at technomicon.com or check out our channel. And of course, thanks for viewing.